and knowing that you just won, and not only won, but you won a playoff game as a team, and now you're on to the next one.
We're a team, man. Yep. We're a team. You take us away, we got other people that's elite players. We got elite players at every position. So if you just want to take 2 away, we got 6 other men that'll hurt you. We've been telling y'all all year, man, don't sleep on Drew, you know. And if you're going to stack the box and, you know, try and stop the run and take us out the game, he's gonna hurt you, man. We've been telling you he's the best quarterback in the league, and you know, he's still Drew Brees. So he proved that today. Oh, God. Show him what you got there, baby.
I'm just trying to fit in with my guy.
Supreme. A little, you heard me.
You got a broom? What's the broom for?
What's the broomstick?
A $3.
Ooh,
a sweet?
Sweet. Let me get the dustpan for you.
It's a little soft.
Listen, there was nothing but good times after this game. The Saints all together pleased with the win over the Panthers. You can understand why. Not afraid to show it. This was the scene in the Saints locker room after the fact, an all-out celebration. I mean, it's actually kind of hard to find out. You can't even tell what's going on. It's mayhem. And the Times-Picayune having fun with the headline. The Panthers already have a new
I
owner.
see your Times-Picayune, my hometown paper, Wendy Nix.
I know. The New Orleans Saints, of course, reference to the fact that Jerry Richardson will sell the Carolina Panthers now that their season is over. But they did make it 3 in a row. The New Orleans Saints beat the Panthers twice during the regular season. They do it again in the postseason. So they do own the Carolina Panthers in 2017. But it is time for Overreaction Monday, and we'll start right there. Here we go. Making Drew Brees, and I referenced this during the highlight, making Brees beat you was a bad game plan.
That's an overreaction. If you look at this team and what Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram were able to do in the run game all season, you have to make a team one-dimensional. And if you talk to any defensive coordinator or any defensive coach, they always say you stop the run first. You want to make a team beat you with only one portion of their offense, which was passing for the New Orleans Saints. And now the issue is this. You're stopping the run game and you're saying, hey, future Hall of Famer, you have to beat me. And we've spoken many times about which one of these teams in the NFC scares you the most. And a lot of times I went with the Saints because Drew Brees can do just what he did yesterday, which is carry a team with his arm.
I mean, you know, in fairness, is it a bad game? I don't know. I mean, I think they could have beaten you any number of ways.
Sure. Look, it's not an overreaction. Look, the Saints ran the ball down Carolina's throat twice this year. Averaging almost 5 yards a carry and almost 150 yards total rushing. And you saw what that got them. It got them 2 L's. They have to shut down Kamara. They have to make them one-dimensional. You have to then figure you can pressure the passer, jam the wide receiver, slow down the passing game enough, and then control the ball on your own with your running game, hit some big plays, which Cam was doing yesterday, and see if you can get a win. But the point of the matter is, the fact of the matter is, Drew Brees is a Hall of Fame quarterback. So what are you going to do? He's going to get you. He's just going to at some point in time. He's going. You just hope that you can get him last. And Carolina almost did. Devin Funchess makes that catch in the end zone.
Yeah, different
They
deal.
almost did. So it is what it is. I mean, they're a good football team. That's why they're probably going to be in the NFC Championship game.
That's why you got to tip your hat.
And their plan almost worked. It almost worked. And if you looked at the Saints this year, they changed the identity of that team.
Absolutely.
They became a run-first football team, even with the Hall of Fame quarterback. And so you have to take away the run. The Vikings will have to take away the run this weekend to beat them. They did the right thing.
Absolutely. Look, and see, you know what's funny is, see, people say this, well, Drew isn't an MVP candidate because he has a great run game and his stats are down. You know, that to me just speaks to just how much people really aren't. Exactly. You're not really looking at this thing right. So because his stats went down because they can run the ball, he's not as valuable anymore?
Right.
You just saw yesterday how valuable he is.
Absolutely.
When he wants to, he will surgically take a football scalpel and just cut you apart, and he does it better than anybody.
He might be the VVP, a very valuable player. He might not be the MVP, but the VVP.
Let him strikes again.
Surgical is the word I would use. That's the way it looked when you're watching those highlights. And Sunday marked Brees' 7th game with 300 pass yards in the postseason, the 3rd most in the Super Bowl era, behind Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. There was one additional storyline to come out of this game with the other team's quarterback, Cam Newton. The Panthers facing questions this morning after they quickly cleared Newton to come back into the game. This is just after the league has said we're going to be extra careful when it comes to concussions. The league apparently has already been in contact with Carolina's medical staff to ask why Newton was not taken to the locker room when he was evaluated for a potential concussion.
I know it was precautionary concussion protocol things that happened, but it wasn't my head, it was my eye. My helmet had came down low enough over my eyelid, and it got pressed by the player's stomach, I believe. So I thought maybe somebody had stuck their finger in my eye, but I got on the visor, so that couldn't happen.
He actually got poked in the eye. They took him in there just a precautionary, just to make sure. But when he was sitting on the ground, they were trying to wipe whatever, when he got poked. So that's what that was. But we wanted him to sit down to give DA a chance to warm up. I mean, he was injured. Instead of trying to bravely walk off, we wanted him to take a knee so we can get our guy a couple throws.
So here now our overreaction. The concussion protocol needs an overhaul in the offseason, and we've talked about this ad nauseum.
Yeah.
It's worth repeating. Lewis, overreaction or not an overreaction?
It's an overreaction that it needs an overhaul. It just needs to be applied. And it needs to be applied blanketly. Exactly. Right. It doesn't need to, look, they're doing, you can't make, unless you're going to, the people who are putting the protocols into place, unless you can actually run down the field and tell the people, take this guy off the field, the people who are in charge on game day have to realize that, look, the league is serious about this. Yeah. It's not, you just can't pick and choose when to do it. You can't have the player determine when he wants to be taken to the locker room. You can't have people explain it away. It has to be ironclad. If there's any question about whether or not you think a guy is, lost some of his faculties, whether or not he doesn't have great balance, he looks woozy on the football field, you have to take him off. Doesn't matter if it's a playoff game, doesn't matter if it's the franchise quarterback and you're trying to drive down the field and score. If you're really interested in player safety, the people have to apply it. Otherwise, what it looks like here is it was a big game, you wanted your franchise quarterback on the football field, and you're going to have to answer those questions.
But all the reasons Lewis just gave is why it's not an overreaction to me. And obviously, the protocol is set in place. You have the people in the places they're supposed to be, but they don't have the directive of saying we're going to err on the side of caution every single time. If a guy looks woozy, if a guy lays on the ground longer than you think he should, you have to take him out of the game. After you have the Russell Wilson situation, after you have the Tom Savage situation, you can't do this on this big of a stage.
But here's the question I would have for you then. Why did they? Because they emphasized that. After Tom Savage's situation, wasn't it? It was a big uproar. We talked about it on this show, right? There was any question, take him off the field. But what I'm saying is, then why didn't they take Cam off the field?
Because they were dead wrong.
But
absolutely.
So how is overhauling the protocol going to make human beings make a better call than next time?
But that's the point, though. You have to get your human beings to understand what your approach is. How do you feel about it?
If they don't understand, I'm not arguing with you. I'm arguing with you, but I'm not arguing with you.
I got you.
Because if they don't understand it by now, they're not going to understand it. People are going to pick and choose when. Look, it was in the fourth quarter. No, the team is trying to win the game, and somebody was like, "Hey, man, we need my man on the field."
But so you're double talking, though, Adam.
That's right.
You're double talking. If you're going to say player safety matters, but it matters to keep Cam in the game in such a huge game.
Double talking is nothing new.
Absolutely.
Well, hold on. How many times are we going to have this discussion on Monday? How many times are we going to
This is the fourth time this season.
How many times are we going to talk about whether it's a reaction or overreaction? Whether it's Russell Wilson or Tom Savage or Jacoby Brissett or Cam. Every week we talk about this.
That means it's wrong.
It's enough.
You're right. But see, that's what I'm saying. So what does overhaul mean?
You got to. You
that means this. That means
whoever has to be some hard lines.
Right. Exactly. So whoever was responsible, they're going to have to face some serious consequences, right? Because that's the only way. That's the only overhaul that's left.
Here's what we could say: overhaul, they don't have it right.
Right.
They don't have it right.
Yep. I think this is.
Do what we have to do to get it right.
This is a human error issue. This isn't a protocol issue. This is people who aren't willing to make the decisions issue.
Well, the problem is, no matter what protocols you put in place, they do no good unless they're implemented.
Unless they're applied. That's my point. That's my point.
Do we agree that yesterday was a breach of protocol?
More than likely, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
Something's wrong. So after all that discussion, after all the times we talked about it, we still have a breach. Okay. It's great.
I'll tell you what, Literal Adam is fired up today, too.
It's one of those days.
Welcome to the playoffs, people. Welcome to the playoffs.
Yeah, here we go. It wasn't always pretty, by the way. We're going to continue, but thanks to Blake Bortles.